Hi there, this is Natalie Thompson with Get Government Jobs Canada, and I'd like to welcome you to Module 4 of Getting Started with PSRS. PSRS is, of course, the Public Service Resourcing System and the website that you want to go to look for jobs in the Federal Government of Canada. You can get to this website by typing jobs.gc.ca into your browser's address bar. So, let's go ahead again and get into the English portion of this site. And what we're going to do in Module 4 is we're going to look at how to use the advanced search functionality to find jobs that we are actually interested in. In a previous video, we looked very briefly at this Search for Jobs box in the center of the screen. And you can do a very quick search here, but my recommendation is to use the advanced search just because it gives you a lot more control to sort of finesse your searching and bring up things that are really particular to what you want. So let's go ahead and click on advanced search, and that will bring us to the search page. And if we just scroll really quickly down here, there's all sorts of different ways that we can tailor this search and fields that we can fill in to tailor our search. One thing I do want to point out here is you'll notice these little green circles with the eyes in them all the way down the page there besides each major search criteria section. And if you click on those, they're just a way to get more information about the particular search fields. So as you can see, I clicked on that one and it brought up an explanation of what this search field is all about. So feel free to use those if you want more information about the fields as you're filling them in. So the first search field here is called Program, and if you click on the drop-down menu here, you'll see that there's a bunch of different programs that the federal government uses to hire people. Some of them, as you can see, are quite obviously meant just for students. This FSWEP program, so Federal Student Work Experience, post-secondary recruitment. There's a couple of other things here that are also sort of very particular programs. The one that we are interested in today is this one called Jobs Open to the Public. So we're just going to go ahead and select that one. And we're going to go right down under there to Work Location Search. And this is where you can narrow down your job search to particular provinces, territories, or even cities that you are willing to work in. So I'm going to leave this on National Capital Region. You can also pick from the drop-down box here. It has the major cities for each of the provinces and territories, or you can type in a particular city if you want to get that specific. Underneath this section is the job category and classification section. So this job category drop-down list is sort of the top level or macro level job categories that are available within the federal government. And within each of those top level categories, if we select one of those, you can click on this classification button here, and it will automatically enable this second drop-down box. And these are particular job classifications within this overall macro level job category that you selected up top here. So in this clerical and secretarial group, for instance, you have CRs, DAs, REs are specific to NCC, and this ST, secretarial and stenographic typing group. That's kind of odd because there's not really a whole heck of a lot of those left. They're mostly CRs or ASs at this point. But those are, I guess, still available in this macro level category here. If you picked another one, for instance, this computer one, and clicked on classification again, you'll see that that secondary classification drop-down list has changed. There's a lot more items within it now, and these categories or classifications are specific to this computer-related category. So if you were only interested in computer-related jobs, for instance, you could narrow that down here. You could narrow it down even further to particular classifications within that category. I'm going to leave this as all job categories just because I want to make sure stuff shows up in the search category, the search example that I'm going to do. So I'm going to leave that there. You will want to narrow this down to something specific to you that you're interested in. The next field that we want to fill in here is the time frame, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about this field because you'll see in here that there's several time frames that you can use. You can use new or revised in the last 24, 48, or 72 hours, within the last week, or within the last 2 weeks. Now, what I'm going to recommend to you is that you get in the habit of checking this site regularly. So every day, if possible, and if that's not possible, you do want to be in here at least every 2 or 3 days for sure. The reason that I say that is because I've noticed historically with this website, there's not a whole lot, unless we're dealing with a pool process or an ongoing inventory that a department's trying to create. You're not going to get a lot of jobs that are posted for 2 weeks. Most of the time I see things that are posted for a week or less. And what I mean by that is that the time frame within which you can apply for the position is usually less than 7 days. So you definitely want to be checking this site more frequently than that, just to make sure that you're not missing any new job postings that are only up for 2 or 3 days. So if you're doing that, then you really only need to use these 3. So within the last 24, 48, or 72 hours. I'm going to pick within the last 2 weeks, again, just because for illustrative purposes with this video, I want to make sure a lot of stuff comes up that we can take a look at. Under this next section is the additional search criteria. You can actually narrow this down by a particular job title or by a particular reference number. So if you had a reference number for a specific job that somebody told you about, for instance, you could put that in here and it would pull up just that job. We're not going to use either of these fields for this example, so we're just going to leave those blank. The next is this organization search. You can, for instance, if you were desperate to work for, say, Health Canada, and you only wanted to work for health and no other departments would do, you could go through and you could find Health Canada in this list. They're actually calling themselves the Department of Health now. So you could select that department, or you could type it in here and you could narrow down your search that way. Or for any other particular department that you were interested in. Or you can just leave it as all organizations if you're just interested in a particular job type and you're not really choosy about which specific department it is. Just leave it as all organizations, and everything that's available will show up. This next little group here, you've got 3 options here for minimum and maximum salary and education level. I don't really recommend using the salary one just because you don't want to limit yourself unnecessarily. And federal government jobs, all the pay scales and stuff are dealt with union negotiations and stuff, and a lot of times particular classifications, groups, and levels are working without contracts just because the contract negotiations do tend to be delayed. So I just don't recommend limiting this, because the salaries that are posted in the job postings may not even be accurate, and you'll see this sometimes where it'll post a salary range and it will say underneath that the salary range is under review. That happens quite frequently actually, so I would just leave that as no minimum. The education levels, I don't really recommend using these either unless you have you've only done high school, for instance. So then you might want to limit the jobs to only those ones that require high school. Other than that, I wouldn't really limit this unless you really specifically were looking for jobs that required a particular education level. Underneath here we have this language requirements section, and in here you have English, French, and bilingual, because in Canada we do have the 2 official languages being English and French. So depending on the region that you're looking in to find a federal government job, you may or may not find jobs that are specifically English or French. For instance, in this job search, if you remember up above, I selected the National Capital Region. The NCR or NCA, depending on which department you're talking about, the National Capital Region is a designated bilingual region. So most of the jobs that you will find available in this area are going to be bilingual. If you're in another region, you're more likely to find jobs that are English or French essential, or either or. So What I recommend here is to just leave it as all language requirements unless you know for a fact that you will not meet a particular bilingualism rating. So I'm going to leave that there for now. And down here I do want to talk about this little search result order. You can use this drop-down box. This is a handy little tool actually. There's several ways that you can sort the outcome of your search. The two that I use most often are this closing date. So if you sort the results by closing date, all the jobs with the earliest closing dates will show up at the top of your search list. And the closing date, again, is the date by which you must have your application submitted. The other one that I use the most often is to sort results by organization. And this just sorts your searches by the particular department or organization. So if we go back to our previous example about the person who is just absolutely desperate to work for Health Canada, but maybe that person is really wants to work for Health, but is not going to say no to a job offer from another department. You could use this to group your search results by department, and it would put all the ones from Health Canada in grouped together, so you could scan through really quickly just to see if there's anything there that Health has got posted. And if not, you can take a look at the other ones by your sort of secondary and tertiary favorite departments after that, or whatever. So I'm actually going to sort by organization because that is the one that I use most often because I just like to see what the different departments are doing. And there's two buttons down here that I want you to take a look at. Save this search will actually, you can save this if you have your account set up and you're actually logged in. We aren't logged in at the moment, but if we were, we could save this search to our account, and the next time that you wanted to do a search, it would pre-fill in all of these fields for you. So if this was something every day you were going in and doing this, it would save you time to just save the search. Right now I'm just going to click on Search for Jobs. And it pops you right back up to the top of the screen, but if you scroll down, the search results are actually at the very bottom of the screen. And you can see that with the search criteria that I put in, I've got 32 results and 4 pages worth of stuff. So, and again, it's sorted by the department and organization, and these, the top 3 here, these are Bank of Canada, CMHC, Canada Post. These are departments and things that are government but not really government. So I'm going to click through and look at another page, see what we have, because I want to use something that's pretty obviously government posting. Again, more stuff we've got here. We've got some regular departments in here: Correctional Services, we've got Department of Justice, National Defense, Public Works, Fisheries and Oceans. You can see there's tons of different stuff here, and I didn't narrow down by type of job or category or anything. So you can see all that there's a lot of different types of work that you can do within the federal government. We've got technical specialists, environmental specialists. Look here, they're looking for physicians, so doctors, director generals, mechanical engineers. We've got librarians, all sorts of stuff, real estate management, technical officers. There's so many different types of jobs that you can find within the government. So I don't know, I just find that very fascinating that there's just such a variety in the federal government jobs. I think that's pretty cool. But anyway, that's how the advanced search functionality works, and I'm going to let you go through and play with that now and try and tweak those search fields to pull up the stuff that's very particular and very interesting to you. And that's going to be it for this particular video, and I hope that was useful to everyone, and I will see you in the next video where we're going to look at particular job postings and what sort of information you're going to find on one of these job posters. So that's it for now, and I'll see you soon. Thanks a lot.